Good evening. The Concord Township Board of Zoning Appeals meeting for June 10th, 2020 is now in session. I would like to introduce the board. To my far left is Skip Sweeney and Brandon Dines. I'm Ivan Valentic. Chris Jarrell is to my right, and Blair Hamilton is to the far right. And out in the audience is Heather Freeman, our Township Zoning Inspector. Under the advice of council, we ask that anyone speaking tonight must be sworn in. If you plan on speaking, please stand and raise your right hand. And if there's anybody on the phone, please stand and raise your right hand so you can be sworn in as well. Okay. Do you swear that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So help me God. If so, say I do. I do. All right, thank you. All right. All right, when presenting your case or commenting, please come to the microphone and state your name and address for the record. Anybody on the phone or on the line, we'll reach out to you after we've spoken with anybody that's in the audience this evening. Heather, were the legal notices published in a timely manner?
Yes, they were.
All right. Tonight we have one appeal of old business and two new variance requests and a special election. 3-vote majority is required to either approve or deny any appeal. If the request is denied, you have the right to file an appeal. So first is old business, which is appeal number 2018-41. Mr. Randy Viviani of 7757 Concord LLC requested administrative appeal from the determination by the zoning inspector. This old business is still tabled at this time and will continue in the future when we're ready to address the situation, correct? Okay. New business, we have a variance 2020-62. Mr. Walter Swick is requesting a variance from section 15.04B, table 15.04-1 to allow for the construction of an accessory building to be located within a 20-foot front building setback in lieu of the minimum 50 feet required for the property located at 8145 Viewmont Drive, current permanent parcel number 08-A-024-0-00-020-0. Mr. Swick, if you would like to come up and present your case. Sure. Again, as a reminder, state your name and address and that you've been sworn in.
Okay. Walter Swick, 8145 Viewmont Drive, Concord Township, and I've been sworn in.
Thank you, sir. Go ahead if you want to present.
Okay, well, I'm applying for a variance. I had put together, and I hope you did receive the information on the overall project. And what this consists of is a 16 by 18 foot building. It's going to be built by JDM Construction. I've been working with WMG Wood over off of 84 here. So basically, as you can see from what I stated, I've got limited space to actually place, the building on the property because of, again, I have a ravine that runs in the back. So moving it back to the required set point would require, some extraordinary construction. I think it would be nice to be able to do it. It would look good, but it'd be very expensive to do it. On top of it, it would require removing trees, this type of thing. So in effect, this building, I looked around and I came up with what I thought was the most aesthetically pleasing, structure to blend in with the property and what have you. And that's what I presented to the board here.
The existing, I guess, septic drain field that's also relatively near the proposed structure. How far away is that, or how close is that in actuality?
Okay, from the curb to where the building will be set is actually 35 feet.
Okay.
I don't intend to put any driveway entrance or anything to the structure. I'll be actually approaching it from the side, so in time, there'll be, some landscaping with, some trees and plants and whatnot. We're fortunate, most of our lot sizes up there are fairly large in comparison to, some of the other neighborhoods. And the one neighbor, to my left, you can hardly see his house from my property. My other neighbor that happens to be with me tonight is next door. We're about the closest. I've got one neighbor across the street who basically has just moved out, so and you can barely see his house from my house.
So the neighbor across the street, they moved out?
Yes.
Okay. Because it looks like, looking at the mapping, it looks like that house is positioned to be looking almost directly at the shed.
Right. And
will there be trees between the roadway and the shed?
in time, I'll shrub that, yes.
I just have one more question and then I'll leave it to others. Is there a reason why you didn't think about selecting it and putting it over here?
Again, because it's so close, to the property line, okay, I would have had to move in and it would have actually infringed on the driveway.
Okay. Anybody have any other questions from the board?
Sir, how long have you lived on the property?
I have been in Concord since 1986.
At this location?
Yes.
Is this the beginnings of the build here?
Well,
Or just a rendering?
actually, back when I first moved in, okay, my father and I built a platform. And I had are you familiar with Shelter Logic? They make these fabric enclosures. They're portable structures.
Okay.
So we put one of those up. And it lasted for about 4 or 5 years until, the snow and the ice and, what have you, finally took it down. So at that point, I basically, took it down. What's left there is still, the pad which you see.
But this is the exact location where you're...
That's the exact location where I want to do it, right?
And this is where the shelter
That's where the shelter
Lodging
was.
facility, or whatever it was.
Right, shelter lodging.
Used to be.
Right, used to.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how big was that when that was erected?
That was 20 by 20. Yeah.
So that was
20 by 20, and I think it was 14 feet high.
decent size.
It was decent size.
And how high is
This one's going to
your
be...
proposed
Well, I've got a 12
outbuilding?
There's a 12 by 12 pitch on this, so the roof, the top of the peak should be just under 16 feet, which is well within the limits that I think are set by...
So for years, you had a temporary structure that's fairly similar to the type you want to build?
No, I said I had one,
Right.
okay, but it was, again, a portable fabric, shelter, was, essentially, and with snow and, just the weather, it came down.
Gotcha. Your neighbor that's in the picture across the street, who's that?
The guy
Is that you,
across-
sir?
No, he's next door to me.
I'm his next door neighbor.
To the north or south?
It'd be to the north.
Okay. What about the neighbor to the south?
The neighbor to the south is I referenced that their house right now is up for sale. And you cannot even see their house from my house
Right.
because of, it's such heavily wooded property.
All right, and the guy across the street?
Same difference, they're heavily wooded and he sets way back.
Well, I mean, I could see the house in the picture. I could see their front door.
That's a different house. That's further up the street.
Well, that house is the one I'm talking about.
Yeah, that is...
Um,
Sir, you have to wait when you're...
Who's
when you're
that?
up.
And do they know what you're going to build?
You sent out the notices to them, did you not?
Yeah, notices were sent to everybody.
All right, so they're aware of it.
They're aware of it.
Okay. All right, I don't have any other questions.
Chris, anything? Okay, thank you. You can be seated. Sir, did you have anything?
Yeah, I just wanted to say,
Oh, yeah, please state your name and for the record.
my name's Alan Lepeau. I live at 8129 Viewmont Drive. I'm to the north side of Walter.
And you've been sworn in?
I have,
Thank you.
and I'm in full agreement with what he's trying to do. It sets back off to the, just into the wood line, so it looks like a perfect spot for this.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Did you have anything?
I'm just trying to get a sense for, and I know Viewmont, I've been there many times, but I forget, this structure will probably, this will be the closest building to the street, won't it? On that entire street.
Sir, can you please come up?
I'm sorry.
To answer your question, yes.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
But again, too, as I indicated, you know, I've chosen this building to basically blend in. I mean, it's going to be, it's not going to be a typical, you know, off-the-shelf type structure.
Right.
It'll be professionally done.
Okay.
Okay?
All right, thanks.
Okay. Brandon, anything? Okay. Is there anyone else here that's either speaking for or against this appeal that would like to come up? Okay, we're gonna try this part. Is there anyone on the phone? Chris, or, oh, the phone's over there. If you can hear me on the phone, is there anyone on the phone that would like to speak for or against appeal number 2020-62? I'm just gonna ask one more time to make sure we get everyone the opportunity. Is there anyone on the phone that would like to speak for or against appeal number 2020-62? Okay. There's no further questions. The public hearing for variance number 2020-62 is now closed to the public. Can I have a motion to approve variance number 2020-62?
So moved.
Second?
Okay. Open for discussion on the board. Anybody have anything they'd like to say?
It's a unique lot, facing some unique circumstances. I understand some of the difficulty there. I understand also that it's a rather large request as far as what the setback is required. But I think based upon what is presented, I would be in favor.
Chris?
I agree, there's quite a bit of grade and a pretty significant drop on his property, and that with the leach field, there's not a lot of places you can put it. There was a structure there historically that was probably not real attractive, and the foundation is already there. So it makes sense.
Blair?
I think I'll just say, with the exception of the substantial variance, I think for the most part, in terms of factors that we would consider, this is, you know, kind of a 9. I think that it doesn't change the substantial nature of the neighborhood, and that I don't see a problem with it.
Okay.
I would add, I think it's important to note that it doesn't seem to cause any problem with any services, emergency or otherwise. And he doesn't have any other outbuildings on the property that I'm aware of. So, in light of those circumstances and those factors as well, I think he meets the threshold as far as we're concerned.
All right. Skip, did you have anything you wanted to add?
Nope.
Okay. Well, then, the question is on approval of variance number 2020-62, a yes vote approves the variance, a no vote denies the variance. Heather, please call the vote.
Ms. Carroll?
Yes.
Mr. Dines?
Yes.
Mr. Sweeney?
Yes.
Mr. Hamilton?
Yes.
Mr. Valenta?
Yes, the variance has been approved. Thank you. You can, thank you. Thank you for your time. You're free to go.
You're free.
Free. All right. Next is appeal number, variance number 2020-63, Pro Built Homes on behalf of Justin and Ashley from Grasmere is requesting a variance from section 15.04B, table 15.04-1 to allow for the construction of a single-family dwelling to be located with a lot width of 85.38 feet in lieu of the 100 feet required, and the side yard clearance to be 5 feet in lieu of the minimum 15 feet required for the property located at 7325 Brook Ridge Lane, known as current permanent parcel number 10-A-029-K-00-025-0. Please come forward and present your case.
Robert Myers with Pro Built Homes on behalf of 7325 Brook Ridge Lane. Do you need my personal address?
I think that's okay. You've been sworn in, sir?
Yes. So we started contracted with the von Grassemies back in December to build a house at 7325 Brook Ridge Lane, and did the initial site work. And in order to meet all of the setbacks that we needed to do, the house was going to need to be 143 feet back from the road, which was much farther back than the other houses and stuff. And so Justin really wanted a bigger backyard, and so in doing that, contacted and did some lot work to buy some land from the neighbors, the Latines, and did all of that pre-COVID, thinking that was going to be a quick thing. And we did all of that work and did the site plan originally to give him the bigger backyard. And then while we were working with that mortgage release, the mortgage company with the title company, they were working with that person. We ran into many roadblocks due to the COVID kind of thing, and they just are very hard to get a hold of, and we keep sending the contract, we keep sending, and so we've been waiting, and every single time they tell us that, oh yeah, we have it, it's in process, and then 2 weeks later they're like, well, we never got it, can you resend it? And so we sent it again, and we did all of those things, and Justin has been working with Heather, and we've been calling. And so we thought that it was time to come up with another plan to try to get this house started for them. They have a new child and trying to get the house going, and so we're just trying to come up with that. So contacted Heather and talked about that and kind of talked through that. And so we moved the house. Originally the plan was it was going to be on their, a little bit of it was going to be on the property that he's going to be purchasing. He is still purchasing that property. So we moved the house back a little bit to get it onto the property that he currently owns, so that we could go ahead and get started. And so we're coming to that variance. Once the land deal finally goes through, he'll be well within the zoning things. It'll be about 73 feet on the side yard there. So in doing that, I have other documents if you need it. We got a letter from the Untitled Services saying that they've been working on this constantly. We also got a letter from the Latines, who they're buying the property from, who are okay with starting the land and recognizing they're the ones that will be the closest to them. They'll be the 5-foot setback. There were some other concerns once Heather sent out that letter, and it turned out that one of them was our customer that we had built for before, and Justin was allowed us to share the site plan with them, and we did, and we have an email from them saying, oh yeah, we get it, it's not on our side, we're okay as well. And so we're just basically trying to do that so we can get started. I do have a graph if you want with colors that show where the new property line will be, so you can kind of see it. You can kind of see it in there, but I colored it out for you if you'd like me to pass these out to you.
Yeah, that would be great. It was
Yeah.
kind of hard to figure out.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So the green line is where the old property line is, where and then the blue line will be once the purchase goes through and that is finally done. And so you can see the house is now fully on his property, so we can start, kind of in that way if we're granted the variance.
So I see you have new legal definitions with the split, and has that all been approved by the county?
Yes, yes, so we're just waiting on the release from her mortgage company, because there's a mortgage on the property, and so that's what we're waiting on. That is the delay at this point.
So the county has approved or hasn't approved?
I believe the county has approved all of that language, yes, so we've filed all of that, and that's been filed, yes.
They have?
Through Barrington. Barrington has sent everything.
Sir, if you want to
Oh,
state
sorry.
your name and address, and then you've been sworn.
Justin Pangrasamy, 7325 Brook Ridge Lane.
You've been sworn in, sir.
I have been sworn in.
Thank you.
So the Barrington has sent everything over. There's been an appraisal on both properties. The verbiage has been sent to the county. It's been approved. All that's been sent to the mortgage company, who originally told us it would be 45 days. They originally told us it'd be 7 days. That was on March 10th. Obviously, this whole COVID pandemic hit during that time. At that time, when we called back 10 days later, they said we need 45 days. We are now at 90 days, and they said we need another 45 days. I've been trying to get a hold of the mortgage company. The Latines who own the property have been trying to get a hold of them. It's sporadic. I called the CEO. They had his secretary call me back. She gave us the 4 names of the people who should be handling this, and they were the wrong people. I spent an hour on the phone today with their customer service trying to get a number to their corporate and got hung up on. So I guaranteed the Latines, I've already given them an earnest deposit, and we have a purchase agreement. I am buying that land from them. They are even at the point where they're like, if everything falls through, we're at the point where we might pay off the house at this point, and then it would be a non-issue with the mortgage company, but they haven't done that. His wife just lost her job, so they're obviously don't want to do that right now. This site plan is kind of like, for me, it's kind of upsetting because we want the big backyard. Right now, we're having to move the house back 20 feet. We bought the lot hoping, when talking to the neighbors and everything, that we would have a 143 foot or 123 foot backyard. Big family. My wife's Italian. I'm half Italian, but my wife's Italian, so you know how the size of the family I'm talking about. But even in this site plan, with moving it back 20 feet, I'm just kind of like succumbing to that because we're given the 5 feet buffer. I'd really like to have 0 foot buffer because then we'd only have to move the house back very little, and I can still have the big backyard and they can get started. Right now, we're, like we said, we signed the contract in December, talked to the mortgage company, New Res, who owns this part of the property, and it's just been an absolute nightmare for us. We're super excited to build our house in Concord Township. We're very excited about all that, but right now we're just at the point of like giving up, in a sense, you know. So if we can move the house back as little as possible, I am eventually going to own that. Like I said, I've already put an earnest deposit down with the Latines, and I have a purchase agreement to buy that property from them. And so we're just kind of at the mercy of you guys. Poor Heather, I've called Heather about 1 million times asking her to do something, and this is, finally we're here. But again, like I said, this is like, for me, like a plan B. Like, unfortunately, 3 months later, we want to start building, you know?
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Does anyone else from the board have any questions?
Is this going to be, are you tapped into sewer? You're going to
Yes.
be tapped into sewer? Did you get an extension on your purchase contract?
Yes. I don't know if you have the correct one, but the title company has the correct one.
We probably have the old one. It was my document that I sent out because he had given us a copy, so we probably didn't have the new one. I apologize.
And even if we get the variance, I've already talked to the Latines. Like I said, she lost her job. I've already guaranteed them that we'll buy that lot regardless. Even if you guys say, hey, with a 5 foot buffer or 0 buffer, I've already talked to them and told them that I will buy the lot regardless. So.
Are the Latines on the phone, or are they?
I have a letter from them. They signed. They weren't able to be here, but I do have a letter if you'd like a copy of that.
I guess I'm interested too. I mean, the purchase agreement that you have, I mean, I appreciate you providing this. It seems to
That's
be,
the letter from the Latines.
this is not the agreement with the Latines, correct?
That is the purchase agreement?
Yeah. It doesn't identify the Latines or anybody else as
No,
seller.
it doesn't have the parcel number on it, or,
This is what the title company sent to me, that's just our copy of the purchase real estate
I
original
can
agreement.
get the Latines on the phone if you'd like that.
It says in the letter that he's purchasing as well.
They're pretty accessible. It's a weird shaped lot. And then
Yeah.
we've got I'm sorry, it's a weird shaped lot, and then we have the riparian in that also. So it's kind of like, I mean, just trying to make it all work,
what do you mean you'll buy the property regardless? I mean,
So the area that we own the property, that little area where the property line is, where the green line is,
Yes.
the old property line. So the creek, where the blue line is, that's the creek. So their property backs up to the creek, then comes over the creek, and is that 1/4 acre right there. So I told them, let's just, because I only need, technically, if you look at it, I only need 3,200 square feet to be able to move the house up to where we would like it. But when I talked to them, they were like, listen, it's weird that the lot, we have part of the creek, we would be on your side technically of the creek. So they're like, if we're gonna do this, we wanna sell from the creek over. So that 1/4 acre of a lot, that's what that square is. I don't know if you see what I'm talking about.
yes,
This
That-
area.
Yeah, that's a 1/4 of an acre. I told them that we negotiated a price, and I told them that if they could have gotten the mortgage release and everything like that, it would be a non-issue. But right now, I told them that I'll buy that portion of it, whether I get the variance or not. Because if I get the variance and you guys approve it 5 feet off the property line, all that kind of stuff, I wouldn't need to buy that piece of property. But I told them I would buy it regardless. So I'm gonna buy that regardless, like I
So
said,
the
because
purpose of the variance is just to start construction while we're waiting for this release. That's
Right,
the main purpose
right.
of the variance.
that's what I'm saying.
Once the property is purchased, then a variance isn't
It's
required.
not even needed.
necessary.
You know what I mean? That's where we're at. And that's what I'm saying is, if we can move the house back as little as possible. We were talking, and we were saying that 5-foot buffer from the property line is kind of, but that pushes the house back 20 feet. If we have 0 buffer, which will eventually be my property, it only moves the house back a couple of feet. You know what I mean? And I know 20 feet doesn't seem like a lot, but it's kind of, it's just been, like I said, it's been a nightmare.
well, it would have been good to see a binding contract. This is,
I apologize, that was what they sent over. We can get to
Would you
it.
like me to try and get them on the phone?
proof of, I mean, can we do a temporary variance?
No, it's not a temporary
I mean,
variance. It's still,
it goes on,
my understanding, it's just a
perpetually.
variance. The fact that it's temporary is because they're gonna purchase that property. It's not a temporary variance, right?
Heather, with the purchase of the property, is it then in fact sufficient? Does it meet all the,
It meets all the
Requirements.
Hold on, sir.
so with the purchase of that additional lot, does it then in fact meet all the minimum width requirements of the property? Or are we still,
Yes.
I'm sorry, that's right.
Right,
I'm looking
so-
at the 7350, okay, yeah,
If the sale goes through as intended,
Right.
They'll well exceed the minimum lot
Right.
with the 100 feet and the right side yard setback, as I stated, the second.
right, then 5, okay.
is there anything that would lead you to believe that they're not going to get this portion of their property released from their mortgage?
The only problem we're having is their original loan was with a company called PCC Mortgage. Then, as we all know, they just sell the mortgages. So it's now owned by a company called New Res. They have told us that there is no problem with releasing it. Who we've talked to. Now, trying to get them on the phone is a different story. Like, I've been trying all week to try and get them on the phone to be like, hey, can you give us a time frame? Are we talking 30 days? Unfortunately, they told us it'd be 30 to 45 days, but this is the 3rd time. Since we sent the original paperwork in, it's been 90 days. And we're still kind of on the hook with them. The Latines are in good standing with the mortgage. This is just me telling you They're in good standing with mortgage. They have enough equity in their property. This is what they've been telling the title company. The new res has told the title company, but they just keep saying we need 30 to 45 days. This, again, we're at 90 days. So it's just kind of wanting to get started. I mean, excited to be in Concord Township and have a new house and all that, and have the big backyard that we want, but now we're kind of.
And it's good, you know, that you have these new legal definitions, but there's nothing here proving that that's all been approved.
It's stamped there.
That's stamped by the surveyor.
Right, okay. I have the big huge drawings in my car, if we need to get those, but I'm believing those are the same as that they've been filed.
Well, if I
You can't-
think we're excited for you too. We want you to do this. Our problem is it's pretty substantial and we have some incomplete documents here.
Okay.
So as Ms. Gerald noted, we don't have evidence that's been approved by the county. It's in the
Okay.
surveyor stamp. That's one thing. The contract, we have one page of it, which is rather lacking. It doesn't identify the sellers, and we don't have the entire contract. So I appreciate that you provided that for us. But again, it's lacking in providing enough information for us to really truly understand it. Now,
Okay.
beyond that, it certainly would be helpful if we could hear from the Latines, or
Did
if
you not
even,
hit
I
the
understand.
back
Well, hang on, let me
copy? I'm
finish.
sorry.
And I understand that there's difficulty with the mortgage company, and I that's not your fault. I get that. But it's also difficult for us to reconcile that in light of not having anything from them, or some evidence from them that you are in fact working towards this to get this done. So the other element of this is, and I'm not suggesting that you're a distrustful person, but clearly we could approve this and you could very well then say, well, I don't need to buy this, this is all the way to wayside, it's been too much of a hassle for it anyway. And now we provide that approval, and in fact you don't go through with the purchase. And again, so we want to do what we can for you, we want to help you. Personally, for me, and I can't speak for the entire board, I'm just struggling with a lack of information right now. And this is the information that I really need to convince me, to put me over the edge to approve this. So,
I believe, I'm sorry, real quick, I believe maybe there was a copy error, because the Latines are on, here is the contract with the back, maybe there's not a back page on yours, and I apologize.
Can you pass that over
Yeah, I will
to?
gladly pass this to, this is that, yeah. I apologize if I didn't get my secretary to copy the right, all the full page, because that's why I was confused at first. Because we did get it from the title company, so it must have been the back page just didn't get copied.
So did you just start trying to contact New Res this week? Because I know in
I've
fact
been-
they are
I've been-
operating.
I actually called New Res, their CEO, back in May, because we were working with the title company. Like I said, around March 10th, we gave them the original paperwork. Like around March 20th, we called them and they said, no, we need all this additional paperwork. We sent that in certified mail. They said they received it on April 20th, and it was in their underwriting department. The title company, All Title, called weekly, and then in May, when we got a hold of somebody, they said we don't have any of the paperwork. She's the Latines and the title, Debbie with the title company said, well, you've been telling us it's been in underwriting? And they're like, well, I don't know who you talked to. It's not been in underwriting. So that's when I contacted the CEO, left him a voicemail. His secretary called me back. We're finally in touch with the right person, but again, they're working from home and they are not, I don't know. I mean, business-wise, I don't know what kind of business model they have. This week I contacted them, been trying to get a hold of anybody and everybody, and like I said, I've just been kind of getting the runaround, so.
And I have a letter from All Title that Debbie signed saying that she's been doing that with the March 10th date on it, if you'd like a copy of that as well. I was able to get that.
And I've given the Latines an earnest deposit.
I see that.
Yeah.
Okay. I apologize about that contract thing, I didn't realize
Thank you.
there was a back page.
Can you make sure this gets over to Heather? You guys, you take a look at that. Skip, get that to Heather so she has. a
Yeah.
copy. Blair, do you have any other questions?
No, not at this time.
If you guys can stay up there, I just want to see if there's somebody on the phone, Heather. Can we just see if there's anybody on the phone? Is there anybody that is on the line that would like to speak on this variance?
Bob Rockets, 7321 Brookridge Lane. I reviewed all the documentation and I'm okay with everything. But my wife is also.
Okay.
And where do you live in proximity to this property, sir?
We live right next to Justin and Ashley. I guess it'd be we have the 15-foot property line. I guess we'd be the south side of them.
Okay.
But we're all okay with everything. Can't wait for them to start building.
Thank you.
No problem.
Is there anybody else that's on the phone that would like to speak for or against this appeal? Any other questions from the board? You can skip.
Not that this matters, but did you, no, I don't have any questions.
You sure?
No.
Okay,
Well,
go for it. I know you got something.
do they, the Latines, how big is their lot?
It's over an acre.
Okay. And you got the creek. You got the creek,
Yes, sir. So the front of their
and then the
house,
rest of their property.
the front of their house faces
Right.
Brook Field,
Right,
and their back, the side, they're on the corner, so the side of their property is on Brook Ridge.
right.
So their backyard comes all the way down, and then the creek, and then the extra quarter of an acre.
So what if you just came in here and asked for a variance on the 15-foot side yard setback? Would they have a problem with it?
I don't know if they would. I don't think they would.
Whether you buy the property or not, do you think they would have a, well, if you bought the property,
Do I
they
think
wouldn't.
they would have a problem with it? No, but I mean, it's because we've had this relationship where now that we've gone through this whole thing with our mortgage company, we've kind of bonded. But at this point, I think they're kind of anticipating me buying that lot because financially, they want that money at this point, So
Right.
if we were to call them now, I think they would be okay with it, but I think they're also
Would they be willing to carry the financing
for the lot.
for the mortgage?
I'm
Well, because you're trying to get, you say they have equity in the house.
yes.
I've never seen a mortgage situation. I don't know what provision in their mortgage requires them to notify their company if there's a reduction on
They absolutely have
something that
to.
affects the value.
They absolutely, because that's the
it-
collateral.
I just don't know. I've never experienced it before in my life.
I actually got a appraisal on their property before the split and after the split, and it's a $10,000 price difference.
Yeah.
And I'm paying more than
Right.
that for the lot.
And
but,
my guess is when push comes to shove, that mortgage company is not going to care about
no,
that.
and
They're
again,
not.
any other normal circumstances, I believe it would have been done within like 2 weeks, like they originally told us. But because of all this, it's just all over the
Okay.
place.
Is that contract down there somewhere?
I gave it to Heather. All right, I don't have any other questions.
Like I said, the goal would be that they settle and we don't need a variance. I mean, the plan B would be that you guys say there needs to be zero buffer, and plan C is we have to push the house back 20 feet, so there's a 5-foot buffer. But like I said, sometime in the near future, I'm going to own that piece of property, and I can get the. I might be able to get the Latines on the phone at this point, if you guys would like that.
Just so it's clear, sir, what we have on the docket, what we're voting for today is a 5-foot
Gotcha.
side yard setback.
So we talked about.
That's it. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it, that's what we're asking for, correct?
So my question, Heather, we talk about some of the riparian setbacks. I see that in October 2018, we approved 50-foot in lieu of a 75. Does this then in any way invalidate that, or does it violate that
No,
previous riparian setback?
no, that, the previous variance and
Okay.
the variance setback is still being,
Still being on it?
upheld
Okay.
on this site plan, and actually it pushes the house a little bit more away from that 50 foot.
Okay.
That riparian is noted in the site plan as that dotted line.
I see it.
Yep.
Yep.
And you signed an extension on the contract.
Yes. I have signed one extension. I don't know how far it went, to be honest with you, because like I said, we're at 90 days now, and, but they did cash that check, and I can show you the, clear check.
Okay. Brandon, do you have any further questions? Before we close this out?
No, was there anybody else on the phone besides?
No, there's no one else on the phone. I asked twice. Is there anyone else? No, okay. Chris, before we close this to the public, do you have any other questions?
I don't think so.
Okay. Gentlemen, you can be seated.
Thank you.
There's no further questions. The public hearing for variance number 2020-63 is not closed to the public. Can I have a motion to approve variance number 2020-63?
So moved.
Second.
All right. Discussion from the board. Chris, what are your concerns?
Well, I mean, I would have liked to have seen an extension on the contract. I know the earnest money has been deposited and cashed, but that doesn't have anything to do with the completion of the sale. If something were to happen, then that earnest money would go back to you as a buyer. So, and then we got a letter from the title company indicating that we do have approval from the county, but it would have been nice to have that actual documentation rather than just this letter from title. I mean, I'm in real estate, so I look at this contract and I'm just like, it doesn't even have the parcel number on there. And I would want to see an extension, and I would want to see the approval for Lake County. That's just my opinion.
I guess all those things are important to me, and we asked the question, and I know I respect everything Chris is saying. I guess what we're left with, is so that you understand, is I appreciate your efforts, but we're really, all of that's quite irrelevant to us. We're simply today looking at what your request is and what the variance is. All those things provide us additional information as to what you may do in the future. But again, that's ultimately irrelevant. So certainly we understand that it may be unnecessary and be moot at some point in time, but for today's consideration, I was interested to ask the questions, but really it has no bearing on our decision. So I guess we have to simply decide, do we approve the variance? And I think Chris's points are all well taken. She's 100% accurate. It would have been helpful for us for that, but I'm looking at it just based upon those requests. I'm not hearing anybody objecting. There's no one else here saying they don't agree with it. We have someone on the phone who's on the opposite side who says he agrees. The Latines aren't here. The Latines clearly got notice. They haven't been advised. So
And they did send a letter.
they sent a letter. So as far as I'm concerned right now, my decision comes down to whether or not this is too substantial. It's a unique lot. I get it. It looks like where else you're going to build. Ultimately, as I take it all into consideration, I'm in favor of it based upon all the needs and based upon what I've heard. So I appreciate what you provided to us. On the other end of things, I know that you and I have certain opinions on those things, certain way we look at it, but I guess at the end of the day, it's moot.
Blair, you have anything to add to the discussion?
I think I'll just add that while certainly is a substantial variance and it could be solved by moving the house back further, but then reducing the rear yard footage, that based on the neighborhood, the 5 feet, to me, because of the creek and the topography and the adjacent home, really isn't an issue in terms of a visual for the placement of the house. So that's my comment.
Okay. Skip, you have anything to add?
Yeah, I'm just putting this in terms, and again, thanks for all the information on this, but frankly, I could care less. I mean, no offense, but that does not come into our factors, and I hope you get it, and I hope it goes through, because it's always good to have more land, But I'm just looking at this in terms of a worst-case scenario. If the Latines say, we object to this, at some point. I mean, let's say that there was no purchase, and they came in here and said, we object to it because it's too close to the side yard. I don't think that, it wouldn't sway me, okay? So, and that is really the chief impediment that I would base my decision on. And even assuming that they came in here and said that, it still wouldn't affect my decision. So I just don't think it's as Blair said, it's substantial, quote unquote, but in terms of this particular situation, it's not an issue, so.
Okay. All right. I don't have anything to add to what everyone just said, so then the question is on approval of variance appeal number 2020-63. A yes vote approves the variance, a no vote denies it. Heather, please call the vote.
Mr. Dines?
Yes.
Mr. Hamilton?
Yes.
Yes?
Carol?
No.
Mr. Valenti?
Yes. The variance has been approved. Thank you.
Okay.
Have a good evening.
Good luck.
Thank you.
All right. Next on the agenda
Start building.
is,
Start building.
Thank you, guys. Thank you very much.
thank you. Next on the agenda is election of chair and vice chair. Can I get a motion?
I move to nominate that Mr. Valenti continue to serve as he's done
Second.
admirably.
Can you finish? I thought I was
He
going to
wanted
give
to
something
hear
glowing remarks.
the good things.
As he's
Sit
done-
back. It's going to be a
As
while.
he's done admirably, not only for this Board of Zoning Appeals in Concord Township, but its residents and everybody who are involved with him, including the zoning department, the trustees, and everybody else. I
Here,
think
here.
he's a true asset to this Board of Zoning Appeals, and I think Mr. Sweeney has also proven to be a true asset to this Board of Zoning Appeals and everybody else involved with it. I would therefore nominate him to serve as vice chair.
Okay. Do we just all in favor say aye? All right, all in favor of that nomination, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Approved. Congratulations, Skip. Thank you, everybody.
Congratulations, Yvonne.
All right, one last thing is the approval of minutes from May 13th. Can I please get a motion for the approval of the minutes from May 13th?
So moved.
So moved.
A second from anyone?
Second?
Any additions or deletions to those minutes? Changes?
Oh.
All in favor of the minutes as written for May 13th, 2020, please, I guess vote yay or nay. I guess. Yay.
Yay.
Yay. All right, the minutes have been approved. Did anyone abstain? This is everybody?
No.
Okay. All right, the Concord Township meeting for the Board of Zoning Appeals for June is now closed.